Welcome to everyone to this session on the role of Italy in the Mediterranean. We'll be talking about water, wastewater, and waste in general. My name is Emanuele Bocpan. I'm the editor-in-chief of Renewable Matter, which is a magazine that deals with the circular and bioeconomy at the European level. We have a big set of guests here with me today. Fabio Fava is the scientific director of Ecomondo, which is also the host of this session. Ecomondo is a key leading Italian, but also international events that takes place in November from the 5th to the 7th of November in 2024, and I invite everyone to be there. Next to me, Alessandra Stolfi. She is the global exhibition director of Ecomondo. She is the mastermind behind this amazing event. Next to her, Francesco Fatone is a professor from the University of Marche, is a water expert. And of course, Gramenos Mastroianni is the deputy secretary of the Union for the Mediterranean, which is also hosting this event here at their pavilion, here at COP28 in Dubai. Welcome to our guests and welcome to you that are watching us live streaming. I want to start with Alessandra. Ecomondo is the host of this event. Ecomondo is a key place for the business community from all over the world, but especially for the Mediterranean, to find key solution in the waste, in the water, but also in the energy sector with other events like Key Energy that connects all the states and all the economic actors in the Mediterranean area. So what is Ecomondo for the ones who doesn't know Ecomondo, and what is the key strategies to boost the circular and bioeconomy across the Mediterranean?
Thank you, Emanuele. First of all, it's possible to launch the video.
Oh, yes.
Because so we start with a short page.
So we'll see a presentation of that. I'm back.
Okay, back. So good morning to everyone, to everybody. We are happy and proud to be for the second time partner of the Union of the Mediterranean at the COP28. And why Ecomondo decided to participate at COP23. Since the very beginning, 26 years ago, we are fully aware of the crucial role that we could play trade fair as Ecomondo in the dissemination of the culture of transition, the ecological transition. And we build the community, our fair, on two main pillars. The first one is the matching between demand and supply chain. And the second is on dissemination of good and well information and knowledge. So these are the main pillars, and I think is a very a special feature of Ecomondo. Over the past few years, we have worked strongly to build a large community which includes on one hand industries, but also public sector, scientists, but also citizens and young generation. So we are really a community. And today, as you told before, Ecomondo has become the main international event, both at the European level and in the Mediterranean area for the circular and green economy. And we include all the sector regarding the green economy that bring together technologies, solution, the best solution available on the market regarding the ecological transition. We gave the priority to the scientific and discussion on some strategic topics,
Such as?
Such as valorization of all type of waste, water management, protection and regeneration of soils, seas and oceans, transport, and healthy city, water management, and all other sectors. The program guidelines were drafted by a high level of technical and scientific members. Our scientific committee is guided from Professor Fava, and Professor Fatone is a very important part of the committee in the water section. In the last, let me see you just some figures about
Sure.
the last edition.
Which was a record, yes.
Yes, a record in these 26 years. We had 150 exhibition company exhibiting in 150,000 square meters of exhibition space, and more than 99 attendees.
Wow.
Coming from
We could round it to 100,000.
yes, but correct, certificated 99 attendees coming from 144 countries. So the six main sectors are waste as a resource, site and soil restoration, circular and regenerative bioeconomy, bioenergy and agroecology, environmental monitoring and control, water cycle, and blue economy. This is the main sector. And then in the last edition, we have also implemented 3 industrial districts that are also strategic for the PN program. I mean the textile sector, the wool sector, and the paper sectors. And finally, we host also the general state of green economy, the 12th edition of the green economy, promoted by the National Council for the Green Economy, with the patronage of the Commission in European Commission. And the 2003 report looked at the ecological transition from a different perspective. That is that economic benefits of the ecological transition are higher than the cost associated to the transition itself. Also, thanks to the creation of new jobs. This is a very important factor, especially in a period where the communication is also full of false myths.
Yeah, a lot of greenwashing.
Yes.
And you had a special section for jobs for people who want to find their skill, or also for matchmaking space, right? For companies looking for specific profession. Yes.
It's very important because we, in the last edition, Ecomondo have dedicated a large space, large attention to the young generation, focusing on the green skills, jobs, and to put together the demand of company with the demand of young generation. Is not really our core business, but we retain that it's very important to facilitate the training and the experience of the young generation through a fair like Ecomondo. And we included 3,000 of students coming from university and also high schools. For us is very a great results. In conclusion, I think that research, innovation, and policies should guide the ecological transition and widespread knowledge among citizens and civil society. And Ecomondo in the future want to cover this important role.
So, well, let's meet everyone in Ecomondo from 4th to 7th of November, 5th to 7th.
5th to 8th.
5th to 8th. That's the correct date. 5th to 8th November 2024. Fabio Fava, we talk about the Mediterranean area. It's a key area that for Ecomondo is looking at. It's a emerging market. It's a market that's becoming more and more interconnected. There are a lot of priorities for the ecological transition. Which are the key trends we are seeing in this area?
Sure, thank you very much. Yes, we are working deeply in the area in which we need to implement circular economy and the ecological transition through dedicated technologies. But let me give me the opportunity to also justify why we are pushing those priorities that Alessandra mentioned, and the relevance of what we are doing there. I will use PowerPoint presentation, please. So why circular economy? Why we are pushing it? Well, because we are massively using resources for making essential products you see there. And of course, by accumulating a lot of waste. This is another issue. Resource scarcity from one hand, the other one, the accumulation of waste. But together with this, we have the release of CO2 and many other gases that can impact remarkably on our climate change. And you see what is happening. This is clear evidences that the climate is changing, and we need to act on that. But climate change is not only one of the major problems. We have other problems like the reduction of biodiversity, the conversion of the use of lands, but also the release of nitrogen, phosphorus. This is another issue that will be also addressed by my colleague later on. Then we have scarcity of water and so on, etc., etc. And this scenario will become even more critical during the coming years, because you see the global consumption of materials such as biomass, fossil fuels, metals, minerals, etc., is expected to double. So it's expected to double during the coming 30 years, but also the production of waste will increase by 70% if we don't do anything, if we are continuing working in such a way. So the only way we have, or one of the challenge, one of the opportunity that we have, is to move from the so-called linear economy, so taking material, making it for making product, use the products, and then convert them into some waste into the circular economy concept, in which, yes, we will continue taking resources for making products that we are using, and then one day we release as a waste, but part of such a waste can be reused for making again the products and circular. And what is very important to also start using renewable resources, because the other ones are finite and we need to go for this. And also very important is to use renewable energy for allowing such a cycle to work, because such a cycle is asking for energy, and the energy has to be renewable. This is what we need to do, but it's not only a waste. The circular economy very often is mentioned as a waste recycling. It's much more, of course. Is first of all things that are related to the industries that are using oil and coal as a feedstocks, but also the other industries starting from biomass. If for both domains, the first must is to be more efficient in using the resources for making the products. So to have more product and less waste in transforming our feedstock, and also important to deliver the products efficiently, because very often we are losing the products. And quite important is also to redesign the products and then the processes in a way that the products can be for longer time on the market, now life, can be repairable, recyclable at the end, upgradable, and recyclable at the end. So we need to work a lot here. And this is research and innovation that is deeply presented at the Ecomondo. And then, of course, in such a way, we are producing less waste, and we need to use the waste. In this domain, we need to collect them properly and then reuse them, often inside the same value chain. Very often, the waste of one value chain is the feedstock for other value chains, so industrial symbiosis. This is true also for the other domain in which we are starting from biomass, But here we have to take care more closely to the waste because they are unstable. We need to stabilize them. And then the opportunity to reuse them is very interesting. We can produce biogas, but we can produce chemical material and other kind of energies, of course, all bio-based. It is quite interesting because those products can enter the environment. They can then provide back carbon to the soil, regenerating soils and marine and terrestrial habitats. And this is crucial because here, the biomass from which we are starting is generated. So such a way, such activities is helping us in continuing producing biomass and fixing CO2 at the same time. So quite interesting, the other part that we are calling normally bioeconomy. But again, this is the sheen in which we need to intervene. At this stage, these priorities are deeply presented in the framework of Ecomondo. But it's not only the industrial part, the one that we are representing there, there is also the restoration, remediation, requalification of the former industrial sites, terrestrial, but also ports related to the marine activity at the urban area. The urban metabolism has to be more circular. And we are deeply working here as well. And of course, management of biowaste, management of wastewater coming from the cities, but also the use, the more efficient use of the infrastructures that are there. But the circular economy is only a pillar of the so-called Green Deal. What we need to do for mitigating in a very effective manner the emissions, we need to do more in addition to, of course, circular economy. We need to be more efficient in producing, using the energy. It is responsible for 75% of the emission. And then we need to also have more efficient buildings. We are also working here at Ecomondo because the efficiency of the building is responsible for 40% of the energy that we are consuming, which is responsible for the 75% above. And then also transportation is a topic that we are addressing partially because it's also responsible for emissions. But then, as Alessandra mentioned, we are taking care a lot now to the preservation, restoration of ecosystems and biodiversity. And we are taking care about reduction of pollution, but also the restoration of contaminated environments, and of course, more efficient, sustainable exploitation of biomass coming from ecosystems, biodiversity for making food, but also for making bio-based products. So this, of course, as you know, is something that is addressed in many policies, new or revised policies from the European Commission. And there is a strong attention to mobilize anyone, any country in Europe, also those that are behind the schedule. And financing is crucial. The Commission also put this in place. And we are presenting this. We are pushing all these areas at Ecomondo together with European Commission, FAO, and OECD. And during the last period, we started pushing up this area because without restoration, without regeneration of ecosystems, we cannot have anything else. It's crucial, this piece. It's important to reduce emission from the first part, but then it's important to regenerate what also the climate change impact will have. The Mediterranean is an interesting part of our planet. The history is coming from here. It's a fantastic place, and then our friend from the UFM surely will complement what I'm saying, but it's suffering a lot. These are some numbers coming from organization, so the population is growing there remarkably. The climate change is very, very, very clear here, and also water scarcity is one of the phenomena that is affecting the area. And then we need to act in this area. We need to act for many, many reasons. About soil, water systems, we have an interesting initiative in place. PRIMA is our partnership. UFM is also engaged, is hosting PRIMA, etc. And here the priority is to work on farming, agri-food value chains, but also water management and the nexus in between soil and water. Here you have the priorities on the water, the exploitation, the agriculture improvement, resilience, and the production. Also, the quality of the products and nutrition that are crucial priorities. The European Commission recently also working in the area in some ways through the European Mission on Soil Bill for Europe. So reduce the certification, improve the organic content of the soil, reduce the soil sealing, reduce the soil pollution, prevent erosion, so biodiversity improvement, and you see a soil literacy, engagement of citizens and so on. And here you have the major actions that the Commission put in place also for the Mediterranean. And then we have the Mediterranean Sea. It's only 1% of the surface, the blue surface of our planet, but it is making 20% of the turnover of the marine and maritime sector. But the Mediterranean is suffering a lot from many challenges. Remarkable is the pollution, but also climate change and so on, overfishing, etc., etc. And here we are working a lot again. We are working a lot as a European initiative, and not only that. We have several initiatives, the Blue Med initiative, 16 countries are working there together, European, non-European countries, trying to implement a sustainable exploitation of the resources on the Mediterranean Sea. You see here the different actions planned in the Research and Innovation Action Plan. This initiative is led by the European Commission together with the Union for Mediterranean. Here you have all the different tasks, priorities. You have the document of the website. Recently, during the last 5 years, actually, the Blue Med initiative, 11 countries of the 16 launched national apps for reducing the plastic pollution in the Mediterranean Sea. Each country mapped their activities. Now the activities are shared because all the countries there can take advantage of what is performed by the different member states. Westmed initiative, UFM is also working here, sustaining this. These are 10 countries working together on priorities complementary to the one of the Blue Med initiative. Again, joint actions on the Mediterranean. Here you have the countries, 5 European, 5 non-European. Then we have also USAIR. It's another initiative, other directorate of the European Commission. Again, sustainable blue growth, etc., etc. And finally, this is the last 2 slides. The European Commission recently, in the frame of European mission, Restore Our Ocean and Waters, launched the lighthouses in the major basins of European Union. There is one initiative focused on the prevention and reduction of pollution that was based on the Mediterranean Sea. And we are leading, as Italy, we are leading this lighthouse in the Mediterranean Sea for the reduction of pollution due to plastics, but also herbicides, pesticides, the other compounds. And all these initiatives are present in Ecomondo. Every year they are hosting the year event by bringing there the final outcomes of the different actions they are implementing in the Mediterranean. Thank you for the attention. Then the material is available.
Thank you so much, Fabio Fava. It was very interesting. The Mediterranean area is absolutely critical because it's also a climate hotspot. So it's rapidly changing, and water, not just the salty water in the Mediterranean, but the water around in the coastal area, and all the states that surrounds the Mediterranean is a key critical element. We need to decrease the amount of water we withdraw, the amount of water we extract, but we have to maximize the amount of water we're able to recycle, to reuse. So we really need a Mediterranean level blue circular water economy. So Francesco Fatone from the University of Marche is a leading expert on water, and you have the task to explain what will take us to create this circular water economy in the Mediterranean area. The floor is yours, and thank you. The presentation started.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to this panel. Actually, I'm here as coordinator of the area of water in the Ecomondo, the Technical Scientific Committee, but I'm also a fellow of the International Water Association, where I'm General Secretary of the Resource Security Cluster, and I am a Water Europe Ambassador. So I'm trying to bring in all this experience from the global perspective and from the European perspective, and why we need to join forces because water is transversal and links different sectors of the green
Energy, food.
Exactly. So, of course, my focus will be on Mediterranean basin, where we have three challenges. Water is too much, too low, or too polluted. So we have to find systemic solutions where alternative water sources can be one of the solutions. And I will show some examples how we are addressing this issue, especially in Italy, as case study that can be of inspiration for the Mediterranean basin. Then I will move to full-scale case studies to see how we can innovate what we already have in place, passing then to European innovation actions. Well, we are here at COP28, and of course, let us start from the SDGs. How are we moving with concern to SDG 6? Well, as we see here from this graph, Italy is moving away from SDGs in terms of SDG 6 quite well, but still we have a lot of challenges that we have to address. So why? Because water is transversal, and very recently, together with Water Europe, we have elaborated some quantitative assessment. How water is influencing the digital economy, how water is influencing the green economy, the energy. That's why the proposal is to overcome this fragmentation of water and to have a unit that is dealing with water as overall thematic. So this challenge is currently under discussion, and the idea of a European Blue Deal probably has to be pushed by all the experts and stakeholders that are dealing with water. This is a major issue. Water governance probably is where we are still stuck and where we have to work together much more. When we move from the European policy and governance to the Mediterranean, well, as also Fabio Fava explained, the Mediterranean is a climate change hotspot where the impact of water is highly relevant. That's why the interest in overcoming together the solutions is very important. And even if we see only at the Italian scenario, well, in 2 months, we moved from water drought that was very well known all around the world to storm and flood. So we had to face two different issues in a couple of months. So where our strategy should go? We need a systemic solution. And well, I have reported here what I also mentioned to the Italian government. When I was here at the Italian Senate, when we were discussing the special law for water scarcity. And the approach was, we don't have to address one solution, but we have to address systemic solutions. So alternative water sources, yes, but only when a systemic approach has been previously studied. What you see here is an example from a small province. Actually, it's a relatively small province in the north of Marche region, close to Emilia-Romagna, where we have assessed all the water sources, all the water uses, and on this basis, the sustainability of the circular strategies has been studied. So with this assessment in mind, we can understand actually different possible solutions. And as you can see here, the proposal was, okay, let's see how much we can pose a solution with wastewater reuse, how much with groundwater optimization, how much with desalination, taking into account the impact on energy and the impact on carbon footprint. So all these have to come together to propose a systemic approach at territorial scale. And well, of course, when we talk about water, we have to think about water safety. And alternative water sources means also when we close cycles, the impact on safety and security can be quite critical. Well, in Italy, we have important case studies. For example, the water distribution system in Puglia is one of the largest in Europe and one of the largest in the world. And the management of the safety in this water distribution that is long, more than 5,000 kilometers, taught us how to behave with these extremely complex systems. So in this case, we learned how to move from one region to another, how to interface with interregional and interterritorial governance. But now the challenge is not only to transport water, is to retain more water. We need to retain much more than what we are able to retain now. And even thanks to the National Recovery Plan, there is an example from Milano that is becoming a sponge city where about 50 million have been invested to retain more water, and the challenge will be how to reuse this water. So we have to retain more water and we have to reuse more water. Still, if you go to South Italy, Puglia is one of the regions with a major impact on water scarcity. Well, already at the moment, we have de facto aquifer recharge, and all these systems can be very good case studies to inspire innovation and to put more safety here and to be an example also for the Mediterranean basin. But alternative water sources is a main point all over Italy. That's why I decided here to present not a case study in South Italy, but a case study in Milan. Well, Milan is not well known for water scarcity, but water reuse is of interest all around the country, especially because water scarcity, for example, last spring was very relevant in north of Italy. So the case study of Milano is producing now, as we can see here, more than 20 cubic meters per second of water that is directly reused in the irrigation infrastructure system. And thanks to this, we can provide water during the water scarcity season to the peri-urban agriculture area. Another challenge, again, very relevant all around the Mediterranean, is the salinization of aquifers. In coastal areas, we have seawater intrusion. And what we are facing, for example, in Tuscany is very well known around the world for tourism, but in Tuscany, we have a lot of industries along the coast. So over-exploitation of the aquifer led to seawater intrusion. And even here, especially in summer, we have water scarcity. So if we go to Tuscany, if we go to Lusignano and Cecina, we will have also a very important industrial site that is Solvay. In this case study, there is a water use up to 4 million cubic meter a year that is closing the loop. And thanks to this water use from the municipal sources, up to 2 million cubic meter a year can be saved from aquifer and used for drinking water. So this case study is in place over the last 20 years. This means that these kind of examples have to be studied and replicated. We don't have to invent the wheel again. We have to take lessons from here and improve the overall sustainability of these systems. How? The challenge is circular economy and zero pollution. Of course, when we close the cycle, we can concentrate on contaminants. And with this, we have to study much more the fate and destiny of emerging contaminants. And what we are doing now within European Innovation Action, funded by Horizon Europe, is to study, for example, the fate and destiny of polyfluorinated compounds that are affecting very much the water cycle. And with this scope, we are moving from the concept of circular economy and zero pollution separated to zero polluted circular economy in the water sector. For example, transforming the wastewater systems in urban biorefinery, studying also the fate of non-conventional contaminants such as microplastics. Last slide is about, how to replicate this all over the Mediterranean basin. And I want to bring you an example. This is, again, within the EU mission, the mission of adaptation to climate change. We are involved in one of these funded mission, Cardimed, where the challenge is to innovate in case studies the food system, the water system, and the energy system. And here we are providing renewable energy for water use in irrigation that is climate proof. So what to address all this? Well, taking into account the nexus considering that when we desalinate water, we have an impact on energy, we have an impact on environment and on carbon, and systemic approach is our proposed solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Francesco Fatone. We have seen clearly what are the challenges here, but also the opportunity. We have so many technologies already available, and replicating technology and knowledge transfer is also one of the key elements here at COP. So not just for energy, but also for all the relevant technology related to water, because without water, there can be energy. We all know that. Graminos Mastroianni, we are at COP. We probably want to stick a bit with what's going on here. The key element that they are negotiating until the 12th is the phasing out of fossil fuels. The Mediterranean is a region that heavily depends on fossil fuels. We have many oil countries, especially the Mediterranean, see there are a lot of new exploration of gas and petrol, but also countries are trying to decarbonize their own economy. So how will this transition happen in case, especially here at COP, we have some language about phasing out of unabated or abated fossil fuels?
Well, Emanuele, let me first of all say that while we are at the COP, which is a very important moment, I think that the COP synthesizes things that are happening outside, the real changes in the real world. And in the Mediterranean, what we have is a big problem of just transition when it comes to overcoming fossil fuels. But one thing is, if we look at it sectorally, another thing, if we look at the broad picture, what is the broad picture? The Mediterranean is highly at risk, even geostrategically. People hear that it is the climate hotspot. It's never really explained what it means. It means that we are second fastest warming region, and that the waters of the Mediterranean Sea are the fastest warming globally. This will lead to a series of impacts which are really, really scary. In face of this, of course, we cannot just stay put and change nothing, because the forecasted consequences are a disaster. We're thinking about hundreds of million people moving around. If only sea level rise, which is forecasted to be 20 centimeters before 10 years, is not coped with, we will have desalinization of the delta of the Nile, which means jeopardizing the food security of the country that already has some problems and has more than 100 million inhabitants. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand how dangerous this, among many other things, is. The problem is, how do we cope with this? Well, first way to cope is science. Science for us was absolutely fundamental. We wouldn't be at the COP without science. Science allowed us to understand that there is a specific climate problem in the Mediterranean. And it's on this basis that we are at the COP, because otherwise we couldn't be here. In the United Nations system, the Mediterranean does not exist. It's fractured among 3 negotiation groups, who on some items are actually opposing. But once science showed us that we have a common problem, something marvelous started happening. There are the COP negotiations, but in the Mediterranean community, the level of convergence, in fact, is much more advanced than the negotiation at the COP. So I'll give you one example. What we did is recognize that although around the Mediterranean there are rich countries and poor countries, nobody is rich enough on its own to face a crisis of this magnitude and this place. Consequence, we can recognize that those differences that made us apart before, that even made us get into disputes, if we put them together, we have a larger basket of resources to face things all together. What does it mean? It means that we need to cooperate. To cooperate because, for instance, if the European Union wants to decarbonize by 2050, it is quantitatively impossible to do it without the solar potential of the South. But the South, in turn, do not have enough finance to develop its solar if it only relied on local markets. We are discovering synergies all over. It's in agriculture, it's in water, in many, many things. But the real point is that the Mediterranean is very much at risk, not only because there will be very severe impacts, but because the Mediterranean is a very asymmetric region. What does it mean? It means that we are not integrated at all. The tendencies here are completely non-aligned. We have a south with a very dynamic demographics, country of the north. We have the rich and the poor, and this kind of thing. So, if this kind of impacts fell in an area which was kind of level in terms of income, it would be dangerous, of course, but not so much. In an area of rich and poor, this kind of impacts will mean geostrategic destabilization. So, to cope with climate change, we have both to do the right thing to adapt our territories, to mitigate and things like that, but we also have to eliminate these big differences. And what happens is that if we integrate the economies, because we decided that we need to do things together, I need your solar, you need my things like that. What happens is that we solve the two things at the same time. We solve adapting to climate change. But if, for instance, we integrate the energy and the food systems, we will also have economies that will not be so divergent. There will be a very strong macroeconomic push to the development of the South Shore. And I will come to the point. We are here with Ecomondo, which is a private entity, not any private entity. It's a catalyzer of involvement of industry and finance into the transition. This kind of operation, which is the philosophy of the Union for the Mediterranean to cope with climate change, cannot be done only by governments. You will not have economic, energetic, water, agricultural integration only because the governments decide in declaration. You need the private sector. So we need someone to speak out two things. First, it's necessary. Without private sector, we're all going towards the situation, which is very difficult. But the most important is that we need to overcome this perception that coping with climate change is actually a big nuisance, which is necessary. I mean, we need to diminish the competitivity of our industries because they also have to take care of environment and society. No, actually, transition means transformation. Transformation means economic activity. So while climate change is the biggest challenge that we have, economic climate change is also the greatest opportunity that we have to go towards a peaceful Mediterranean because it's rebalanced, but also it's the greatest opportunity of a cycle. Let me use this word that environmentalists don't like, but it's a cycle of growth that we are talking about. It's a big opportunity. Can governments do this? No. We need to catalyze involvement by new and existing industry and finance. And this is why Ecomondo is here with us in the Mediterranean Coalition.
Terminus, just a quick last question. What are you think the key areas to invest today in the Mediterranean, especially in the south area of the Mediterranean, when it comes to the energy transition, the energy and the circular economy transition?
You name it. I mean, I was having an event yesterday. You were present too with another important Italian actor, A2A. I mean, we have to reshape that. Economy alone is not enough. We need also to reshape our mentalities, the way we are as individuals and things like that. But everything can be made better. So I think there is a market which is huge. The paradox is that we have finance for that, but finance does not find the people to make it become investment. Building efficiencies, circular economy, electrification of with LED of illumination, and this is just the surface. But if you say sustainable fisheries, new agriculture, and things like that, there is space for everyone, and it's incredibly income generating. So we are in a paradox. Policy is aligned. Finance is there looking for this money to be applied productively, but we need to activate industry because it's not getting into this venture fast enough. So I don't know which is the best sector. There are some ones which are more evident energy, water is what we always talk about, but new packaging. New ways for aquaculture. I think that every single sector you could possibly think about needs improvement, and improvement means income generation. So we would be very, very happy to see a massive rush of Italian industry of energy and industry in general into this, I would say, unprecedented opportunity for a growth, but good growth cycle.
Thank you so much, Carmenos Mastroianni. This is a type of talk we like to have at Ecomondo, but not just at Ecomondo, also at Key Energy, the other key event when it comes to the circular and energy transition. I want to thank you all for this very interesting debate, and I want to invite whoever is following us today live and on record to come to see, of course, Key Energy from February 28th to March 1st in 2024. And of course, Ecomondo from November 5th to November 8th in Rimini, Italy, of course. And we will continue this type of discussion, and we'll continue to see how not just the Italian enterprises, but all the European enterprises match with their partners in the southern part of the Mediterranean to boost this type of proposition. Thank you so much for being with us, and have a nice day or evening wherever you are.